Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Alice and I'm a medical student. I wanted to make this video because I know that a lot of you are studying for step 1. I'm supposed to be studying for step 2. But we are going through a global pandemic and a lot of exams have been canceled. And I said this in my MCAT video that I shot, that I'm so sorry. I can't even imagine, like, studying for step 1 is like the most stressful thing I've ever had to do in my life. So to have it canceled, I can't even imagine. I'm so sorry. But I encourage you to keep studying. If you are like thinking about not studying anymore, keep studying. I know a lot of schools are letting students take it at a later time, like during third year or after third year. I know my school is doing that, and a lot of my friends in the class below me are taking advantage of that. But I would really suggest to keep studying. But anyway, if you're still studying, or if you're going to study at a later date, you know, you're taking some time off for your mental health right now, totally understandable. I just want to make this video because a lot of people have seen my video where I look at my step 1 score release and I cried on the internet, and a lot of people have seen it. But I don't want you to have to cry the way I cried because I was worried about not passing. So I wanted to make this video about like 5 mistakes to avoid when studying for step 1, so that you don't have to cry on the internet like I did. My first tip is to be flexible with your schedule. I started out being very, very rigid with my schedule. Like I use a Google Calendar with different colors and all these things. And I was being so rigid that when like I happened to go 30 minutes over what I originally planned, like I would be so flustered, and it would just make studying so much more stressful than it needed to be, because I was like, oh my gosh, now I need to move that block down an hour, and then that takes away an hour from this, and it was just too much. So I would definitely say be flexible with yourself. See how that first week or so goes when you go back to studying. Like, how am I going to change what I was doing before? How can I make it more efficient? And how can I, divvy up the time better without putting so much stress on yourself? So that was definitely a big mistake I made. Definitely needed to be more flexible. Okay, so the next tip I would have to say is prioritizing content review over doing practice questions. This was a big one because I was spending a lot of time trying to memorize every word in first aid, which is not even how I learned to begin with. It was just what I was told I had to do well on this exam. For some people that works. Like I have friends who memorize first aid to this day. They can tell you what page and what part of the page certain topics were. But if that's not you and that's not how you learn, please don't try to memorize every word in first aid. It's gonna take too much time if that's not how you learn, and it's not gonna really help you in the long run if the main thing that you need to be doing is practice. I'm also gonna say that I spent a lot of time like playing with a lot of resources. Like I know most of you know the UFAPS method, and that's tried and true for most people, but there needs to be a certain limit on the amount of time that you're reading Pathoma, that you're reading first aid. And I think that's one thing where you should sort of set a time limit for yourself. Like, I'm only going to spend 2 hours reviewing such and such topic because that's what I've been having trouble with. I just wasted way too much time, and sis, don't waste too much time. Don't do it. Like, it's not, I wasted way too much time. And that brings me into the next tip, which is not doing enough practice questions. If I could go back, and this is why I'm telling you guys this, I would prioritize doing UWorld questions over doing content review, because that's what you're being tested on. You're tested on how fast you can answer the question, how quickly you can identify what the question is asking you, and then picking the right question. If I could go back, I probably would have done UWorld once through during second year, and then again during dedicated. That would be an ideal world. Again, you guys are facing a very difficult time to be studying, but if you can, try your best to just focus on questions as much as you can. And I'm telling you, that is going to exponentially increase your score on the exam. Like, I knew, like, towards the end when I started just focusing on doing questions, like, my practice exams were increasing, and I was like, oh my goodness, I just needed to be doing questions all the time. So I really don't want you guys to make that same mistake. Do practice questions. So along with that, I would say the next tip, I guess this is number, I don't remember the number now, I think it's number 3, is using UWorld as a predictor versus using it as a textbook. So I would be getting so upset and so depressed because I was getting like 30% on my UWorld blocks, or like, yes, let's just say 30%. And I was like, oh my goodness, like I'm not gonna do well in the exam, keep getting 30%. But that's not what UWorld is. UWorld is a textbook. Like, you need to use it as a way to learn. And it took me a very long time to realize that. Now I know that, as a third year heading into my fourth year. But UWorld is a tool. It's helping you learn how to prepare for the exam. So stop using it as a way to see like how you're going to do on step, because that's just not, that's not what it's for. It's there to help you learn. And really, I think I might make a video about how I approach UWorld questions. If that's interesting to you, leave a comment below or DM me or whatever, and I might do that at some point, because how I approach them now is much different than how I was using them in first and second year and during dedicated. So my next tip, I think this is number 4, would be not reinforcing what you've learned, or taking time out to study what you don't understand. So if you're doing questions and you keep getting the same types of questions wrong, that is when I would suggest, having like a sticky note or a running list of things that you need to review. And instead of trying to memorize the whole endocrine chapter of first aid, like specifically going into exactly what you're not learning from that, let's say, endocrine system, and focusing on that. Like, if you don't understand thyroid cancers, like, then you can watch the Pathoma, you can read that section in first aid, you can Google some things or look at your old notes from first and second year. That's where you can invest the time into studying content, because you don't want to keep getting those questions wrong. Another way to reinforce is to use like pre-made Anki decks. Like, that is something that I didn't do, that I think I would do. Like, if I could go back, that's what I would do. There are a bunch of pre-made decks out there. You can check out Reddit for those things, only to get the link. Do not stay on Reddit seeing how people went from a 196 on their practice exams to a 270 something. Like, stay off of there for that, because I did that too. I guess that's another tip. Stay off Reddit for those things. That's a bonus. Only use Reddit if you need a link to something. Do not stay on there seeing how people jumped and how they're the best medical student in the world. Stay off there, sis. Okay. The 5th mistake I think I made was not prioritizing my mental and physical health. So when I started dedicated, I was good about going to the gym and eating healthy. I was like meal prepping. I had like all my snacks and everything. And then when we got into the thick of it, like midway through, I was like, what's a gym? What's a treadmill? What's a meal prep? I was just eating whatever I could because first of all, like you're bored. Well, you know, you're bored, you're stressed. I'm a stress eater. It wasn't pretty. Like that needs to be a priority for you. Like if you go to church, I think you should, now we're doing church online and I prioritize that now in quarantine. So you can prioritize that. You can meditate, do yoga, like have a time where you talk to your friends, like especially if you're all going through this together. There's no reason you can't have a FaceTime group and talk about what you're feeling and how you're pissed off that your exam got canceled. Like it's okay to be pissed off about this. Like this is, who would have thought? So yeah, definitely don't make that same mistake that I made. And I know now going into step 2 dedicated time that it has to be a priority. I've already been messing up with it and I'm happy like that I'm gonna take my own advice because I'm making this video for you guys. Okay, so make sure you take care of your body and your mind. I was really gonna do five mistakes that I made. I guess I gave you guys that bonus with the Reddit. So I gave you guys a bonus with the Reddit thing. Another bonus is to be selective with who you're taking advice from. I know a lot of us, like, we love watching YouTube video. Well, I love watching YouTube videos, which is why I started making them. But I love watching YouTube videos about advice that people are giving. But it's very important to be selective about who you're taking advice from. Like, I took advice from, like, I would say 3 main people, but the reason I took advice from them was because we had similar learning styles. So it's important to ask people, how did they learn the first 2 years in medical school? Like, what resources did they use? And to sort of be on that same wavelength as them. And even if you don't do everything they did, like knowing that, okay, I'm a visual person and my friend who's giving me advice in the class above me is also a visual person, I think I can take advice from them. But if the person that you're taking advice from read all the textbooks, it was a regular old Emma Holiday, and you didn't do that, like you can't expect to have like the same results as Queen Emma Holiday, you know, like, okay. So you guys get the point. Just be selective with that. And that's why I'm not trying to go into too much detail about like what I did. I'm just telling you in general the broad mistakes that I made so that hopefully this will be in the back of your mind while you're studying for step 1. And whether or not it's gonna happen before you start 3rd year, or if it's gonna be in the middle, like some of my friends who are taking it, or at the end, like these things should still hold true, I think. Yeah, I hope that this video was helpful in some way. Even if it just put a little bit of a smile on your face, if that is what I did, that makes me happy. But you guys still have the opportunity to do well on step 1. Like I think there are even benefits to doing it in the middle or at the end of 3rd year. Like you're gonna know so much stuff. You're gonna shock yourself. Like you're gonna be like, wow, like what a blessing almost that I got the opportunity to see patients and to apply what I've been learning and all this like stuff that seems unimportant, and you were just memorizing the first 2 years of medical school. But now like you're seeing patients. Like I saw a patient with Pathoma syndrome when I was on surgery. Like, you know, like those little things, and like you'll never forget it, and it's gonna help you do well in this exam, I promise you. So good luck. I know that this is a difficult time for all of us, but I know that you guys can do it and you can do well on step 1. Let me know if you have any questions. Yeah, and that's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.